that's the kind of answer we're looking for. So let's have a go. Kiki, please.
Woodpecker is rubber-necked, but has a nose of steel. He bangs his head against the wall and cannot even feel. When Woodpecker's jackhammer head starts up its dreadful din, knocking the dead bow double dead, how do his eyes stay in? Pity the poor dead oak that cries, in terrors and in pains. Pity more Woodpecker's eyes and bouncing rubber brains.
Thank you. Okay, for 4 marks, I'd like you to identify the literary devices that Hughes uses in the poem. Make your point, provide your evidence, and then full explanation. Now, as a rule, if it's 4 marks, we're going to be talking about 2 things. You get 2 marks for each PEE paragraph. So I'm going to take 5 minutes. Over to you. Okay, so we've had some very good suggestions here. First one, we do have quite a few. Here we have the woodpecker. It has a nose of steel. So we have a metaphor being used there to show that it's a powerful thing that it's doing because it's beating against the tree trunk. Jackhammer head as well. Again, a metaphor showing that he's using his head like a tool. Knocking the dead bough double dead. The alliteration there, really, the plosive alliteration there showing the violence of this act of the woodpecker hammering on the tree trunk. And the poor dead oak that cries in terrors and in pains. We've got the use of personification here to show that the terrible act again. Okay. Can I please have...
Sorry, there was alliteration, dreadful din.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so many within that one, but you only need to pick out 2. So if everyone can ensure that you are on mute. Okay, and could I please have Jeremiah to read?
It was on the afternoon of the day of Christmas Eve, and I was in Miss Prothero's garden, waiting for Kat with her son Jim. It was snowing. It was always snowing at Christmas. December in my memory is white as lamplight, though there are no reindeers, but there were cats.
Thank you. So this one is just 1 mark. So it should only take 1 minute. Pick out the simile in the first paragraph. White as a Lapland. There we go. Well done. Okay, we're going to skip through to this one now. And could I have, looking for hands up, Hamdan, please.
Nick clung to Carrie's sleeve as they went through the door into a long dark room with pointed windows. It was crowded and noisy. Someone said to Carrie, "Would you like a cup of tea now and a bit of cake?" She was cheerful, plump woman with a sing-song Welsh voice. Carrie shook her head. She felt her. Stand by there then, said the woman. The woman said, "There by the wall with the others, and someone will choose you." Carrie looked round, bewildered, and saw Albert. She whispered, "What's happening?" And he said, "A kind of cattle auction, it seems." He sounded calmly disgusted. He gave Carrie her suitcase, then marched to the end of the hall, sat down on his own, and took a book out of his pocket.
Thank you. For 6 marks, what do you think Albert means when he describes the choosing of children by local people as a kind of cattle auction? And you're using the entire passage for this to look at the context of what is actually happening here. Okay, so I would try and write about 2 to 3 PEE paragraphs. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes for this.
What does auction mean?
Well, that is what you've got to work out from the context, because I can't be there in the exam, unfortunately. However, I can be the little guide on your shoulder to tell you to look at the context of the passage and try and work it out. If you're not 100% sure, kind of imagine yourself there, and what does it seem like it is? So I'm going to go through an example answer because I would like to get a couple more practice in. So the description of the place being like a cattle auction suggests the place is threatening and they're being selected like cattle. It is crowded and noisy, just like a cattle auction would be in real life, where farmers traditionally go to buy cows, livestock. The children are told to stand by the wall with the others, which again would happen at a cattle market, and the children are treated and selected just like animals are chosen. It's chaotic and seemingly an upsetting situation for the children, particularly when Carrie felt like the cake would choke her. And the situation makes the reader feel a lot of sympathy for the children because they're being treated like animals, essentially. And could I please have Roshan, please?
Shaken as I was with these alarms, it was hard for me to keep up with the rapid pace of the treasure hunters. Now and again I stumbled, and it was then that Silver plucked so roughly at the rope and launched at me his murderous glances. Dick, who had dropped behind us and now brought up the rear, was babbling to himself both prayers and curses, as his fever kept rising. This also added to my wretchedness, and to crown all, I was haunted by the thought of the tragedy that had once been acted on that plateau, when that ungodly buccaneer with the blue face, he who died at Savannah, singing and shouting for drink. And there, with his own hand cut down his 6 accomplices. This grove, that was now so peaceful, must have rung with cries, I thought. And even with the thought I could believe I heard it ringing still.
Thank you. So, for 5 minutes, 4 marks, what do you think Long John Silver means when he gives Jim Hawkins murderous glances? Okay, so we've got some very good answers here. Basically, this means that Silver is looking at Jim in a way that suggests he wants to murder him. The author uses personification to make the glances themselves appear murderous, which emphasizes the bitterness and anger of Silver's glare. This also suggests that Jim feels attacked and threatened simply by Silver's look. The writer juxtaposes a strong adjective in murderous with a simplistic verb glance to imply that Silver is able to convey a strong and dangerous emotion without any other action.
Silver hobbled, grunting on his crutch. His nostrils stood out and quivered. He cursed like a madman when the flies settled on his hot and shiny countenance. He plucked furiously at the line that held me to him, and from time to time turned his eyes upon me with a deadly look. Certainly he took no pains to hide his thoughts, and certainly I read them like a print. In the immediate nearness of the gold, all else had been forgotten. His promise and the doctor's warning were both things of true past, and I could not doubt that he hoped to seize upon the treasure, find and board the Hispania under cover of night, cut every honest throat about that island, and sail away as he had at first intended, laden with crimes and riches.
Thank you very much. So we're looking at a 3-mark question. So you're going to be needing to have a look and make at least one lengthy PED paragraph. How does the writer use literary devices to describe the character of Long John Silver? And we're looking at particularly the character of who is there. And if everyone can ensure that they are on, please. 5 minutes. Okay, so we're going to go through some things that you might want to talk about. Cursed like a madman. This is simile showing that he's angry all the time and he has no control over his behavior or his probably unpleasant language. We also have, I read them like print. We've got a simile here telling us that the narrator can easily and smoothly understand the thoughts of Long John Silver. He wants people to know how he feels. We've then got as well a deadly look. which is obviously a metaphor, meaning that Long John Silver is looking at the narrator in his eye, suggesting that the look in his eye implies that he wants to kill whoever he's looking at. And it's a metaphor because you can't actually kill someone with a look. And cut every honest throat. We have here, oh my goodness, that's not very nice at all, is it? A metaphor showing that he doesn't care what he does as long as he gets the treasure. Your throat can't be honest. So it represents the victims of Long John Silver who will be killed for absolutely no reason at all. I'm just reading some of the comments here. We've got some very, very good answers. Remember that when you are tackling this kind of question, it is really important to look at the marks available. For every 2 marks, you are going to be needing to write 1 PEE paragraph, which is make your point, give the evidence from the text, direct quotation, and then the most important part, the full explanation of how that evidence meets your point. This is where you really zoom in on detail and look at your analysis there.